Is Napoleon Hill the personal development genius that we've been told throughout history? Or is there more to this man? Well, you're about to find out the true story of Napoleon Hill. And of course, be prepared for some shocking news. Here's a hint. His bestseller, Think and Grow Rich, is not what you think it is, but simply pages from imaginary conversations. How are we so sure? Keep watching to find out. What Napoleon Hill sold to us. If you're one of the billions of people that got a copy of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, then you've been sold a certain story by Napoleon Hill that's completely different from what his life was really like. First question, did Napoleon Hill really meet with Andrew Carnegie, who was the richest man at the time? Well, there is absolutely no evidence to show that he did. Napoleon claimed that the letters they exchanged were lost in a fire. Even if we want to believe this, all we have to do is look at Andrew's biographer, and you'll begin to see the dots don't connect at all. But we'll get to that in a bit. No doubt about it, Think and Grow Rich is a favorite for many as a personal development book that helps them grow. The birth of this book, according to Napoleon Hill, is that he met with Andrew Carnegie, who charged him with interviewing several successful people, extract the principles that helped them succeed at their work. Now, this author was a super broke journalist at the time and somehow got allowed into the inner chambers of the extremely rich, where they had an interview that lasted 3 hours. During this time, he passed down important knowledge on his work. Napoleon Hill learned about the natural law that allows everyone to write their life, and this led him to study spiritual forces. He even claimed that he told Andrew that he had chosen the wrong person to pass on the first practical philosophy of success because he had no education or finances. And this right here is a classic American story of a billionaire businessman lifting an unknown writer and impacting him with great wisdom. Most of us bought that story, and that's why the book was such a huge success. Except it's actually all a lie because they never really met. So how can we be so sure about all this? Well, here are the things you missed out on the true story of Napoleon Hill and how he is the ultimate scammer. Andrew Carnegie's real thoughts. Let's break down the lie that Napoleon told us by going straight to his major source, Andrew Carnegie. Don't you find it quite interesting that Napoleon didn't start to talk about his meetings with Andrew until after he died in 1919? Since the dead don't speak, there was no way he could really refute the author's claims. But there's still something to learn from Andrew's biographer, who claims that he found no evidence to show that the book was authentic. So there's no proof of this meeting of wealthy people that Napoleon built his entire career on. But beyond the words of the biographer, there's something even more interesting for a man who wanted Napoleon Hill to be the one to document and preach the word of success from the greatest minds. He sure wrote a lot. Andrew wrote a book known as The Gospel of Wealth. So we're going to compare this book with Andrew's biography to see who he really was, away from what Napoleon wrote. Napoleon told us in his book that it doesn't matter if you're working at the local McDonald's or you're Andrew Carnegie. Whatever you're getting, you actually deserve it. He says that you're drawing those wages because of the limitations of your mind. The summary of this is that if you can think it, then you can do it. And yes, we could all be rich. But you're not right now because your mindset is bad. But this is not what Andrew Carnegie thinks at all. Andrew's book, which sounds more like the words from a businessman rather than a self-help guru, says that the competition is a natural creator of inequality and that employers are forced into the strictest economies, which includes the rates they pay their laborers. Unlike Napoleon saying that Andrew didn't set the wage scale for anyone that works with him, Andrew said in his book that he is forced to pay the lowest possible rates to those that work more. This is basically how capitalism works, so Andrew never thought that you could be rich just by thinking rich. Instead, his belief was just like any other businessman who knew they would make more money if you did well at things of scale than others who didn't. Just like you would make more money as the owner of a shoe factory than someone that sells it. Which brings us to the fact that Andrew changed his opinions just before he had his talk with Napoleon Hill, or someone is lying. So, what else did Napoleon exaggerate? Napoleon claims to have been mentored by 2 presidents. Let's not forget the fact that Napoleon Hill was broke at this time. However, the man had the opportunity to work for President Wilson, who wanted to put him on the government payroll. Actually, he was being offered a really attractive salary, but for a man who had been all about the riches up until that point, how is it possible that he rejected such an offer from the President of the United States? Of course, he got to meet such a prestigious person through Andrew Carnegie and claims that he had no thought of what he would get for his services. So he didn't charge the president a penny. Such an amazing person, right? But the story doesn't stop there. After President Wilson left the White House, Napoleon had the advantage to meet another president, this time Franklin Roosevelt. Once again, there is little to no record of a real relationship between these two. But do you remember the phrase, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself"? Apparently, it was Napoleon who coined that historic remark and also wrote several of Roosevelt's fireside chats. He also said that despite being aware of his powers of persuasion, he was never bashful and gave the president a steady supply of suggestions for topics. So this lucky guy gets personally selected by Andrew Carnegie from the wall of poverty into the world of the high and mighty to be their #1 writer. Even more interesting is that Napoleon claims that he was in the room while Wilson was deciding if he should have an armistice for Germany. And who would he give a top secret decoded information to? Napoleon Hill. Wilson then left for a few minutes and returned with sheets of white paper where he had written his reply to the Germans. After Andrew read his reply, Wilson asked Napoleon if he had any suggestions or additions. So basically, he didn't think twice about revealing sensitive government information, including something that could lead to a war, to a writer who no one knew before then. Are you starting to get the picture now? Now, it is starting to sound like one gigantic made-up story, but you would be shocked to discover that Napoleon also lied about being an attorney at law. Even his biographers called this a highly exaggerated claim, meaning a lie, but there's more. Setting up his fake automobile college. Beyond the lies about meeting Andrew Carnegie and then mentoring 2 presidents of the United States, there is an even more shocking one. Napoleon Hill actually set up a fake college, the Automobile College of Washington. This is where he claimed to have trained chauffeurs and car owners while also preparing mechanics for assembly line jobs in automobile plants. Now, this is similar to how fake gurus work today, and you can tell that this is the man that is mostly their inspiration. They create courses with fake testimonials and mentorships to get your money without providing real value. But there was an actual newspaper clipping during that time that exposed Napoleon Hill and his so-called automobile college for what it really was, an elaborate scam. This article was an expose on Napoleon Hill, talking about the route to get rich quick land through his fake course. The real goal of the Automobile College was to get free labor from college students who would even pay to get admitted into the school. So, as soon as you're accepted into the school, you would undergo your training while also working for them. The claim is that the college was partners with an automobile manufacturer, and every student would get a sales job that would earn you thousands of dollars. Of course, this was all a lie. He had huge claims of helping you make as much as $5,000 every year and an automatic job as a high-ticket closer. Napoleon even turned this into a multi-level marketing scheme where students would write down the names of those they think should enroll at the college, and Napoleon would contact them. Of course, they would get a stipend for this. When you start to connect the dots, you'll understand why someone with such a sterling reputation could produce many of today's sleazebags. Napoleon was constantly in debt and then got arrested for a stock scheme involving unlicensed securities. People in his day knew he was a con man, but with the constant whitewashing of history, they were able to forget who he really was and build a good reputation for himself as a business guru. And that's why today Napoleon Hill is seen as a perfect businessman who wrote one of the best personal development books of our time, when in reality, he is the ultimate scammer. Now you know the true story of Napoleon Hill, and that's a wrap. Did you like this video? Well, we're always posting amazing content like this, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching.